Halloween at Jamie's house, right, Jamie? Because your uncle's the boogeyman. Boogeyman, boogeyman. Jamie's uncle's a boogeyman. Jamie's an orphan. Jamie's an orphan. Jamie's an orphan. Jamie's an orphan. Boogeyman, 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 boogeyman.
Hey everyone, this is Cyborg. Welcome back to our Halloween reviews, and we are reviewing Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers today, and I am joined, as always, by Temp. So let's go ahead and jump right into the review. So this was the first movie to reintroduce Michael Myers after his absence in Halloween 3. To a lot of fans' dismay, people wanted to see their Michael Myers back, and as we covered last time, the third movie was actually pretty decent, so rather than go and continue on their anthology direction that they originally were going to do and tell all these tales relating to Halloween, they went back to Michael Myers. So we start off with the movie with him basically in the hospital or sanitarium or whatever, and he's burned up pretty good, as you would expect from a guy that was in an explosion and then walked out completely engulfed in flames.
Yeah, he's both raw and crispy.
Yeah, he recovered quite nicely, all things considered.
Yeah, that hand is looking pretty good. Like, it looks like he fucking burns himself on the stove.
Yeah,
like, oh no.
It's just a minor burn.
I hope it doesn't scar.
And I would say this is some Michael Myers healing factor we're seeing, like a supernatural effect, but even Loomis made it out quite well, all things considered, who was also in that fiery blast. Okay.
There's a lot of aloe vera going on between those two.
Yes, there was. They were
More
sharing
than a little bit.
They were sharing quite a few bottles. Anyway, so right off the bat, I do want to mention that I know this has been like a reoccurring theme of the series thus far, but I love the opening credits. I had mentioned before that there was another opening credits that I really, really enjoyed that stand up with like the original 1 and 2, and even part 3 had decent opening credits. I really like the tone and the atmosphere. It, more than anything, reminds me of fall and Halloween. All the visuals, there's just so many, like the Halloween decorations, the out in the middle of I don't know, it's just you can almost feel the crispness in the air in the scenes. I don't know. Did you get that impression at all?
It's so strange, man, because in Texas, we almost never get cool weather. And when fall begins, it usually comes about closer to November.
Right.
And it's like in the high 60s outside. I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just I really like the fall aesthetic a lot. I have more things to say about it, but they tie into the movie, so I don't want to say too much. But yes, it was very good. And just very fitting because it's so nice outside.
I know, it's super.
I could cry. I could literally cry. It feels so good outside right now.
No, I know. I'm in the same boat. I think it was like 68, 70 degrees tops today, and it was perfect. I was outside and we had our windows open. Yeah, it's amazing out. But yeah, no, I mean,
it's so dry.
Yeah,
right?
No, absolutely. But yeah, just the scenes themselves, like, it's very hard, in my opinion, to capture that feeling, just that sense of a feel outside. But they do that probably better than anything I've ever seen in that regard. Just like they capture, like I said, that crispness in the air. Anybody that's gone trick-or-treating when they were a kid, or you just do things in the fall, you get that, I don't know, it's just that feeling in the fall. It's just different. Like you said, that dry crispness, just a little bit of, it's not necessarily cold out during the day. It's warm because of the sun, but then you have the breeze, then you have the rustling of the trees and the leaves falling off, that type of stuff. To me, like, it just, that all those scenes in the opening credits, just perfect. I don't know how to explain it other than that. So it's definitely up there for me in terms of the opening credits.
And with all the humidity gone, like, you can actually smell the vegetation, you can smell the leaves. Right. The soil has an aroma. It's just it smells like harvest. It's such a great. It's just I love fall. I wish we had real. I love my state. I just hate the weather. That's the only thing I don't like about my state. Well, that's one of the only 17 things I don't like about my state.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to like about Texas. There's a lot to dislike about Texas. I hate the fact that if I want to visit someone, I have to drive 8 hours. You can drive like 12 hours and still be in Texas. It sucks.
Yeah, that sounds awful. All right.
It's horrible.
Okay, so immediately after the opening credits, we cut to a guard, and basically they're going to where Michael's at, and he is being taken care of. He's in like a coma, so to speak, for the last 10 years. So we time jumped from Halloween 2 and Halloween 1 10 years later. And Michael is in a coma. He's still recovering. He's got wraps all over him because he's burned. He isn't moving a whole lot, obviously. And they're going to transport him, as we've seen before. Usually does not go well. Well, anyways, they're going to transport him. And I like that the guard says right before they go down in the elevator, he goes, Jesus ain't got nothing to do with this place. Like, he just cuts them off right there. Because they're in this just like horrible, disturbing place you don't want to have to go to. If you're in that place, it's not going to be any good. So I like that.
Like there's an elevator separating Michael Myers from the world now. I think they figured a few things out.
Right. And yeah, so I like that. And just that guard definitely had some good lines there. And then they transport him. He escapes. He gets up because essentially as they're discussing in the ambulance, they're talking about how Jamie is his niece and she's still out there. Why they'd be having this conversation, I'm not quite sure, but story, of course. And he immediately pops up, kills him, and that's where we kind of start the movie off of. They give a nice little kind of recap of the series because obviously it's been a few years since Halloween 1 and 2 when this movie came out. So yeah, they give a nice little recap as that often does happen. And there we go. We're kind of off to the races. Michael is now loose once again. Loomis is trying to tell everybody, tell the police department, etc., to watch out and warn everybody. They go to visit the scene, and it's a bloody mess, so on and so forth. And we even see Michael Myers kill another tow truck driver just because he's got to get those coveralls. He was really dedicated to that look. He does not like to stray.
He's got very specific tastes.
Yes. I mean, you can't blame him. He knows at this point he's got an iconic look, and he's just trying to stick with it. I respect that, actually. I respect it.
Yeah, no, I dig it. I like it.
So, yeah, and then, so we'll fast forward a little bit here. We're not going to hit every little single beat. Feel free to jump in if you have something that specific you want to discuss. The next thing I really had on this was, it's Jamie. So we're introduced to Jamie. She's in her house, and then we're not really sure if this is... We can only assume that this was a nightmare, that this was not real, because it wouldn't make any sense if it was real. Because one, he has the mask, which he doesn't have the mask yet, and the ambulance is outside her house, and then he grabs Jamie, so on and so forth. But we can assume that's just a nightmare, right?
I mean...
That wouldn't make any sense either. I
didn't think it was either. I thought she was having like a psychic episode. That's what I took away from that.
It's possible. They do kind of lay out some psychic connection between the two characters throughout the movie at a couple points. So
well,
I wouldn't
feel like
be
that
shocked.
Scene is what explains the ending, which we'll get into later. But I feel like there's something going on with her, supernatural or whatever. Something.
Right. There's a link between the two somehow. I mean, we've gone into the supernatural territory at this point, regardless. There's no way getting around it when the dude had lived through that explosion.
Yeah.
Beyond the fact that
and other things.
He was shot 6 times.
In the eyes.
And then 6 times again. And then in both eyes. And then
why
blown
is he
up.
able to see? It doesn't make... Did he get eye implants? Does that come with the driving lessons?
I'm telling you, it's that healing factor.
Fucking Wolverine over here.
He went through the Weapon X program.
Yeah. I'd watch that movie. I would watch Weapon X Michael Myers. That would be sick.
That would be badass. So, yeah. Well, anyway, she has that weird little psychic episode, nightmare, whatever it is. And then I just wanted to point out this craziness that happens at our school. So we see Jamie at school, and she runs into some bullies. There's a lot of parallels between this one and the first one. And or first one and second one, they really do a good job at doing callbacks to the originals without making it seem like they're trying to outright copy it or be as good as the first one. If there's one praising factor about this movie, in my opinion, is it's not like we talked about with the downfall of Halloween 2, is it was trying so hard to be Halloween 1 again, like capture that tone again, and they just failed. Whereas Halloween 4, I feel like we're not going to capture that, so let's just take a left turn here and go down this road and try and be good at this other thing. So we can kind of break that down later as we go through, of course. But so anyways, as happened in the original, we saw Tommy Doyle run into all the bullies at school and they're picking on him. Well, this is what we get with Jamie as well. And I just wanted to write down some of these quotes that these kids are saying because these are the meanest fucking bullies.
Yeah,
I have,
honestly, man,
seen.
this was rough. I didn't like this scene, dude.
I don't.
Yeah, go on.
They go that they say that's because every day is Halloween at Jamie's house because your uncle's the boogeyman. How come your mommy didn't make you a costume? How could she? Her mom's dead. Her mommy is a mummy. Jamie's an orphan. And they just keep repeating, Jamie's an orphan. What? What kind of kids say these things all in succession? Even like I could understand maybe one horrible, cruel thing come out if like they were just complete douchebags. We've all probably dealt with bullies or just complete assholes in our lives, but holy heck, I mean, these guys were going for an award here.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually bullying's tied to some sort of motive like low self-esteem, but they were trying to like trigger some existential crisis. Like they were trying to dig really deep in. It's like, why?
Yeah,
like, there's so many of them. Why are there so many? Why are they so unionized behind this cause? I don't get it.
I don't know, man. Like they didn't explain that why they would. Yeah, I don't know. It was really odd. I could only just imagine like the next day one of them's just like, hey, can I borrow your pencil, Jamie? Like it's just like that was just a normal occasion for them, like just picking on Jamie.
What? No, I can't borrow it. Your mom's dead. Like, I just don't get it.
I don't.
So
It was. Yeah, I don't really get it, but man, I just thought that was so over the top and crazy, but odd. Anyways, so we'll flash forward a little later here. So they go. We are introduced to Brady and Wade, and basically Wade is going to hit on some girl. I still don't even remember what her name was. Let me go and look it up. Not Rachel, not the one that's Jamie's stepsister. Let's see. Kelly. Okay, so her name was Kelly Meeker. Anyway, she's the sheriff's daughter. So Wade goes up to hit on her, and I had down that he's like, he clears his throat, and she immediately just turns around and says, "Fuck off, Wade." Like, that was great. And his facial expression just like, damn, she's not even playing. Like, he just got shut down hard. So I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra friends in the background that I don't think we ever see again either.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was gonna be like a group that was gonna reoccur. Now they're gone. You never see them again.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's a fake out because what we've seen, at least from the first movie, is that you see a group of teenagers. You know, you figured this would be Rachel, and then Myers is trying to he'll off each kid individually like he usually does, and then chase Rachel and Jamie. But the movie really doesn't play out like that. It kind of plays out in a much different way, much more focused purely on Rachel and Jamie, and then some victims along the way, but none of them are the kids. Yeah, they don't really get the focus. So we get, next note here I have. So basically Jamie wanted to go, she didn't want to celebrate Halloween at first, and that's why all the kids were picking on her and being assholes, is because she doesn't want to celebrate Halloween. She doesn't have a costume. Obviously, with the whole past of her uncle, she really doesn't want to partake in that. And then she changes her mind. I guess bullying is effective? I don't know, because they essentially bullied her into wanting to celebrate Halloween. So she goes along with it, and now she wants a costume. So they go to the drugstore. And I do like... So there are some subtle moments throughout the film that I do really appreciate, and there's some complaints that I wish there were more of the subtle moments. But I'll get into that a little later. But as far as this one, they go to the drugstore, and as you as they arrive at the drugstore, you can see the tow truck like right in the foreground. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I didn't.
So basically, as their car is pulling up with Jamie and Rachel and their unnamed friend,
That's
as they
interesting. I never thought about that.
yeah, as they pull up to the drugstore, you only see like the back, like it's an overhead shot to a degree. It's pulled back, and you see the top, and then it kind of pans to the back of the tow truck where you see the hook and everything, but it's in the foreground, so they kind of make it. They don't shove it in your face, so to speak. They don't make it overtly obvious that hey, Michael's already stalking them or he's there, but they do allude, like they give you that little hint, which I appreciate those moments. That's when I think they're doing the character justice and doing the character well, is when they don't outright say, hey, look, Michael's here. Michael's here. Let's just pan the camera to Michael to show you that he's there. I like when he's in the background and you don't even really notice he's there unless you're looking. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's done really well. And this tow truck was one of those moments. I thought it was really good camera work and placement and a good shot. Anyways, they go inside the drugstore, and we have another nice, not as subtle, but still cool moment where Jamie's looking for a costume. You do see the Michael Myers mask. She passes by it. Once again, they don't overtly focus too hard on it, but you do see it there behind her. So I thought that was kind of a cool setup, and I just like seeing all the Halloween masks in general. And she's looking around, and eventually she finds a costume she likes, which is a clown costume, which is reminiscent. I don't think it's the exact same costume, but it's reminiscent of the one Michael wore as a kid when he murdered Judith. So I thought that was a cool callback once again. But instead of it being subtle, they outright flash to Michael in a clown costume when he was a kid. So they kind of, once again, they beat you over the head with it, like, hey, don't you realize this is a homage, this is a callback? But anyways, so that happened. Any thoughts on any of this so far?
This was the hard part of the movie to watch. This is when I was kind of waiting for something to happen, and I can't remember. I think this happens like after we spend all that time with Loomis at the gas station, right?
Right, because this would have been after he kills the tow truck driver and he takes off in the tow truck. So yeah, it would have happened after that.
The Loomis stuff is really strong, and they just rip him away from me, which is fine. It's got to happen. You can't have Loomis around all the time. I just, I don't know, like, it's, I'm trying to find a good way to say this, because it's not as nearly as bad as 2, but it does kind of have that problem where, the movie hasn't found its focus yet. And in part 2, it didn't really find its focus till the last 20 minutes. But it's world building.
Sure.
We're showing you what the late 80s Haddonfield looks like.
Right.
And I'm just kind of waiting. This is when they'll look at my watch time. I'm not super attached to Jamie yet. I liked her a lot more as the movie went on.
Sure.
But
I gotcha.
But I'm trying to think what after the shopping scene after that.
So I'll continue here.
Oh yes, continue.
So I got my notes in order. So basically, Jamie picks out the costume, but then once again, now you see Michael actually grab the mask off the shelf. So it's explained, how he gets his coveralls and how he gets the mask again. So I do like that they do lay that out for you. It's not like, oh, he just randomly has his costume again. Like this is just the character. So accept that he's going to be wearing, and in fact, in my memory, because I've seen this movie quite a few times on TV over the years, I always thought when he was in the gas station, or the gas station with the tow truck driver and all that, when Loomis sees him and then is talking to him before he shoots at him, you don't get the greatest look at Michael, but he's in the background, and then he's wearing the coveralls already. And since he's wearing white bandages on his face, I always thought he already had the mask, so I was always a little confused. So when I watched it this time, I specifically tried to look at in detail what it looked like, and it was indeed the wraps, so that makes a lot more sense to me, because that was one of those things I was going to be like, that didn't make any sense. But no, they did
brings
good.
Up an interesting point, because one thing I noticed about rewatching these movies is when I first saw these movies, it was at best 480p. At like absolute maximum, assuming your TV is legit. Mine,
right?
I watch most horror films on a 1985 Mitsubishi television. So yeah, it's amazing what you see in high definition. It's amazing how much it changes your perspective on a horror movie. And like the skull in the intro to Halloween 2, I did not realize that was a literal skull. I thought like I don't even know what I would call it,
Jack-o'-lantern
like
or pumpkin.
the inside,
Yeah, the
what's the
guts.
slimy shit called?
I
The
don't
sinew
know.
or the marrow, the
It doesn't matter. Whatever.
the pumpkin tissue. I thought that formed a skull, and they kind of carved eyes up. No, it's a fucking skull, dude. So yeah, you don't see that stuff when you're watching TV or TV in the '90s. You just don't.
Right, right.
Or maybe other people did. Maybe people with I had pretty good eyesight, but I'm super ADD, so
Sure.
I don't pick up on all the visual details. So I don't know. That's I would recommend anyone who is fond of these movies. If you haven't seen them in a while, you're going to get a very different experience. Revisit them for that reason. But yeah, little things like that. But go on.
Right. So she, first of all, I do agree on all of that, but she sees Michael in the store and gets scared, bumps into the mirror, all that stuff happens, and then Michael is indeed there and he kind of takes off from there. But that's when we cut back to Loomis. So he is hitchhiking because his car exploded during the whole gas station scene. And he, once again, we just get shitty kids because we get college kids going past and they're like encouraging him. It's like the Sasquatch thing where basically they're encouraging him, come on old man, get in the car, you can, hurry up, hurry up. And as he's getting closer, before he's able to reach the car, they just start taking off and then blow a bunch of dust in his face and jerks. And then right as the dust is settling, we see an older truck show up, and this character's great. This Reverend Jackson is the name, and he picks up Loomis, and all of a sudden, like, are all over the interior. You see, like, I love the Bible, Jesus, and all that, and he's wearing like a reverend. He's got the collar and everything, and he's drinking as he's driving. And it's just like this great character, very eccentric. And he's even saying, like, he takes one look at Loomis and he goes, "Oh, you're hunting it, ain't you?" And yeah, he gives Loomis a drink of whatever he's drinking, and Loomis, like, we get a rare smile from Loomis as he's singing. So I just love that interaction. We don't even really know who this character is, what he's
It
all
was another
about.
fake out. Yeah, I thought this guy was going to be a big player, and we never see him again. I also that actor. I was like, I know that guy. Where do I know that guy from?
Yeah, he's
And
been
then,
in a few things. Yeah.
well, the image that kind of stuck in my head was Pee Wee's Big Adventure. He's the hobo guy,
Gotcha.
so I had to look that up. But yeah, that was insane. But yeah, again, another fake out. I thought this guy was going to be a big part in the plot, and he's done. Like he was there to monologue, and he was out there all Shakespeare style. He's gone, never again. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird that, like, what was his purpose, but I do love the interaction. He's one of those characters that you're like, man, I want more of that guy. I want to know what he is all about. But yeah, no, I do. He is one of my favorite parts of the movie. And then we
May he
kind of,
rest in peace. By the way, he passed away in 2003.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's pretty
not
old
with us anymore.
in this movie. He's pretty old, so yeah, that would make sense. Um, Let me think. So as we continue along the movie, we get a little bit later, so we start seeing some kids trick or treating, which I always do appreciate in these movies. As little, like, as obvious of a detail as that is, when I watch a movie called Halloween, I want to see kids out trick or treating. It's just, to me, it gives that nostalgia factor. Much like I said in Halloween 3, I love all the shots of the different towns and cities of the kids out trick-or-treating at sunset and stuff. So it's always cool seeing them out in the dark and whatnot with all the Halloween decorations. It just establishes a mood. I really do appreciate those shots. Let's see. In one note I did put down here is that at this point in the movie, I just realized how many times they use the Halloween theme in a different way. Like that bum 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 bum, that little tune that's been there since the beginning. And like,
Yeah.
I liked how they used it in so many different ways. Like sometimes it's a piano, sometimes it's synthesizers, sometimes it's like, I don't know, they just did it. Sometimes it was slower, sometimes it was faster. They molded it around the scene to fit the mood of the scene, and I really like that they took that direction with the score this time around.
It's hard for me because that fits in with my ADD. The music, the two times I remember it the most are at the gas station, obviously.
Right.
It was with when Michael Myers is standing there, right, with the bandages,
Yep.
and Loomis is trying to talk him down. He vanishes. Like Loomis starts shooting, and there's nothing there anymore. And then the na 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 na, na. Yeah, that's when it really struck me.
Yeah.
That was well done because that was sort of like that was the left turn in the movie. That's when okay, shit's real now. Not that it wasn't real before, but like the race is on. Basically,
Sure,
is the what
sure.
I took from that scene. The other time was in the house, and I didn't like it as much there, just because I felt like they really did their own thing in the gas station. I'm like, okay, I really feel like the movie owns that scene. That is very much a signature of Halloween Part 4. The house stuff felt a little run of the mill, but anyway, continue.
Right.
Thoughts?
No, I agree. My overall thoughts of the score. Like I said, I kind of said what I felt initially was just in general. I liked that they did so many different spins and takes on how you approach that little tune and that little beat. I like that they didn't just stick to the piano version. They threw in the piano version of the Halloween theme. They threw in the synthesizer version. They threw in like I said, they like when something you weren't really sure what was going on, or the characters were trying to figure something out or figure out where Michael is, or it's just it's just a little more menacing, a little more mysterious. That's when they slowed it down. And I just it's kind of they just changed it up throughout the film, and I like that they did that. It wasn't just the same specific tune the whole time. So we continue on. Like I said, at this point, we're getting to the darkness, and later on in the night, things are ramping up, and we see that he goes and he basically watches Jamie and Rachel leave, and then he goes up into the house and he finds Jamie's little like memory box where there's pictures of Laurie in there, and then he leaves, and that's when like Loomis and the sheriff, who isn't Sheriff Brackett, which I thought was kind of funny, they gave him a shout out. Sheriff Brackett was retired back in '81 or whatever, so they did mention that. I like little call outs like that, little continuity throughout the films. So they did mention that, and they realized that Michael had been there because they find the box, but also because they found the dog, which led me to note down what the hell is it with Michael and killing dogs? Because in the first one he kills the dog, and this one he kills the dog. Like, what the hell is this?
I'm just grateful they don't show it. I'm just grateful it's not in there. Like, that's the one thing that, I mean, it makes sense. I can't argue with it. I don't like seeing animals get jacked up in movies, but
sure,
at least they had the goodness of heart not to show a dog getting knifed up.
Yeah, yeah.
That I could have. I mean, they probably did it more for money reasons, but I think most hardcore horror fans probably don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So God bless them for it.
Agreed for sure. And then at this point, I didn't really note down too many other things because we're over the halfway point of the movie. I feel like I did note down that all the kids. So just to add some context here, basically Rachel and Jamie, they lose each other during the whole trick-or-treating because Rachel's taking her out, and she sees that Brady's with whatever her name is. I already forgot. Kelly. So Brady's in the house with Kelly, so that pisses off Rachel because they were supposed to have a thing, but he wasn't happy that she blew him off to go trick-or-treating with Jamie. So, because Brady's a douchebag, as is well established throughout the film. And so she's not happy, so she gets in a little argument with Brady as Jamie keeps going with the other kids that she runs into. So they get lost, which she was only talking to him for like 2 minutes, but
I guess it was so weird.
Yeah, I guess it was enough.
How far could she have possibly gone?
I know. She's like in an alleyway somewhere looking for her. And I'm like, couldn't you just gone down the street? But yeah, I don't know. Movies.
I mean, they were going house to house to get candy. They just skipped like 13 houses.
It's like, you know what? Screw these 13 houses. Let's just run down a bunch of alleyways and get lost.
Just go. Let's just run. Let's
just run. So yeah, movie. Obviously setting up the scene. And so they're both looking for each other. Rachel does basically see the silhouette of Michael Myers in one of the like alleyways or whatever in the fog. So she gets scared. She starts running. She ends up running into Jamie, and then once they get together, the sheriff and Loomis pull up in the cop car and find them. And as they are getting into the car, boy, God, these kids must never have learned the name Ben Tramer because there's three kids all dressed up as Michael Myers, and Loomis even raises his gun once again at one of the kids, and that's when he takes the mask off, like, whoa, 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 we're just messing around, just playing a joke, Sheriff. And then they all take off, and then, okay, they get in the car, and they take off, and then you realize Michael was there. He was just not one of the ones that they had seen. And, yeah, so this is where I had noticed the timeline of this movie and Michael Myers' ability to be everywhere is quite a mess. Like, I wrote down several things that Michael Myers does throughout the night that I'm not entirely sure how he's able to do all these things. I don't know. Here's what I had. So, he goes to visit the Strode home, so he watches Jamie and Rachel leave. And all in this time span, this is all that happens. So, he watches Jamie and Rachel leave the house. So then he goes up in the house, kills the dog, looks through the photos, etc. Then he's able to go and find Jamie and Rachel again to stalk them in that alleyway and see them leave in the car. Then he goes and kills the guy at the electric company. Then he kills everybody in the police station, like massacres them, and the entire place is wrecked. Like, just straight up look like a tornado hit that place, yet he managed to do all that, and then return to the Strode house in time to hide in the back of the police car. I'm just like, holy hell, were they out trick-or-treating for 9 hours? Like, wow. That was just
it's also the
crazy.
school, too. Like, how he got to the school in front of Loomis, and it didn't make any... that was one of my favorite things about the movie, though. I love the fact that he just one-man armied the police force, did not give a fuck. He just went in there with his knife, and he's like, you know what, let's go, 10-0 matchup.
I know.
That was amazing.
I know, seeing the aftermath of that's pretty badass, because, I mean, typically these characters, they only take people on in one-on-one environments. That's generally how we see Michael Myers, Jason, etc., or maybe like one-on-two or whatever towards the end. Either way, they don't go balls to the wall and just start taking on several people at once like that. So yeah, I can only imagine what that looked like. But we just see the massacre afterwards. It's crazy.
It's extremely positive, reflection on Michael too. Because who kept fucking with him in the first two movies? The police. So I like the idea. It was like, you know what? I'm not even going to give him the chance. Like, I'm just going to cut this wire off early. Done.
Yeah.
And problem solved. They called the police at the bar and no one answered. That's how badly he fucked up the police.
Yeah.
It was so. I mean, it was just. So, it looked so easy the way the movie portrays it. It was like Michael just walked in there, like, "Do you know who you're fucking with?" Yeah. So, God, that's a really good way to set up a villain. I really liked that a lot. I hope. I gotta be careful what I say here. If they remake 4, I don't necessarily know if that's something I want to happen, but I would have liked to have seen that scene, like lightsabers and all. I would have really liked to have seen that.
I just imagine it's a lot like Michael or Austin Powers, where the guy is telling the steamroller to stop. Stop! And it's like Michael Myers is literally going as slow as humanly possible with a knife, just very slowly chasing each of them down in this police station, and all of them are just unloading on him. Sir, put your weapon down. Sir, we do not want to open fire on you. Sir, put it down. Sir, stop.
It's not even a straight line. He's like going around like 13 different desks.
Yeah,
he's like moving chairs aside and shit.
So yes. Anyways, I don't know.
Stuff. I like it.
It's crazy.
What are the high points?
And then I also didn't understand why he was even at the electric company area, like the guy. I think that was one of those, they're just trying to pad the body count here because.
Oh, that made sense because of the power outage. Remember?
Yeah, I mean there was an explanation for it, I guess, but was that his intention, or was he just like around there? I don't know. And how?
No, I mean that's a bigger issue with the movie is I feel like it was a little more obvious what was going on in Michael Myers' brain in the first and two movies. Well, not so much. We still didn't know what he was, but like in this movie, it's not clear if he's like the great white shark that he usually is, or if he's like the mastermind and he fucking wrote all. It's just it's not obvious.
Right.
It's not 100% clear.
Sure.
Because I mean, if you're going to shut down the power, there's easier ways to do it than throwing the electrician into. Assuming that's even going to work, by the way. But yeah.
And that guy was a complete idiot, by the way, too. He's just like, all right, you stay right there. Don't you even think about leaving, all right? And then he immediately turns his back on him. Dude, some guy comes up to me and is acting super creepy with a mask like that. I'm not going to just be like, all right, you hold still there. I'm going to turn my back and make myself completely vulnerable, and I'm going to walk away and think everything's going to be fine, all right? I don't want any trouble. But, yeah, so he pays the price there. And then we flash forward a little bit, and essentially there is a lynch mob out to get Michael Myers. They're all a bunch of bar patrons, and they have guns and etc. They're pissed off because there's no police force, so they need to act as their own police force, as was said. And Loomis is on board with this because, as he told the sheriff, you don't have a police force, so you might as well just let this crazy mob just roam the town. Loomis is just such a he lives in the Wild West cowboy. Like, he just raises his gun at anybody that he feels like. He just does not give a crap.
Yeah, he's very much Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon. He doesn't have rules anymore. He's there to get the job done. Oh, God, I love that exchange. Like, I think the officer was like, all right, everybody, calm down. And Loomis is just like, Michael Myers is back. And the cop is just like, are you out of your mind? And he's like, you don't have a police force. It's just so fucking tight. It's like, that is such good writing. That is amazing.
Yeah, there's one thing that rings true about this character throughout the series is he just does not give a crap about anything. He's just like, he has one mission and one goal in mind. He does not care about the casualties along the way. Like, he didn't even like shed a tear for Ben Tramer. Like, he was just, all right, we need to get Michael. Just tell me if it's Michael. I don't care who it is.
Sometimes you lose a kid. It happens.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, so anyway, so that mob goes crazy, and they think they see Michael behind some bushes, so then they get out of their truck and then start opening fire when they hear some movement, and then they go up and look at his body, and they end up realizing that it was actually Ben Tramer once again. No, I'm just kidding. It's Ben Tramer's little brother. Other Ben Tramer. No, it's somebody named Ted Hollister. We don't know if that's a kid or if that's an adult or whatever, but anyways. Ted Hollister. So a bunch of drunk people with guns in a mob-like fashion ended up killing somebody, so we have our kind of Halloween 2 callback where they end up killing somebody thinking it was Myers.
Yeah, that's another scene I don't really care for. It just, damn
it, Earl.
I don't know. Well, yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, I just said, damn it, Earl.
Yeah. You say damn it, Earl, but it was basically like Predator once they started shooting. Like,
you said you saw Myers.
God, they unloaded so many clips into that bush.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, oh my God. Warning shot. Like, you don't know he's a demon. Like, he is, but the police didn't put that in a memo. I don't know.
He also moves in, I mean, they probably don't know this, but he moves incredibly slow. You could have pivoted around, you could have strafed around that bush just to confirm.
What if he had a hostage? What if it is him, but he has a hostage? You just fucking liquefied that damn hostage.
There's a lot of factors at play. None of them are taken into account.
Do we ever see a body? Because I only remember a bush. Is there ever a body? Okay,
they don't ever show who actually died. They just say who it is. The budget, you know.
Yeah, no, there you go. That's fair. I'll take that guy. I would have honestly, like, that is not the biggest problem with the scene. I just feel like this. I feel like that was really unnecessary because the militia by the end of the movie the writer clearly had a very specific function for them.
Right.
If they don't murder a kid, then nothing changes. The exact same outcome. still unravels. But that they wanted to call back to Halloween 2, so I guess that's what was going on. I could have done without it, but that's me.
If anything, I would have preferred that they accidentally ran into one of those kids dressed as Michael Myers with their truck and then crash into a van and it explodes and he just catches on fire. Damn it, Earl, you said you saw Myers.
And one of the other kids in the Michael Myers mask is like, oh shit, what did you... And then another truck comes and takes it.
Exactly. It's one of the police officers again. It's the same police officer. It's the same guy from... It's the same police officer from Halloween 2. Oh, boy.
Oh, God, that would have been great.
And then the third one gets taken out by actual Michael Myers in a car. I don't know where we're going here, but
he just shrugs as if to say he came out of nowhere. I don't know.
He goes to stab him, realizes he's already dead. He's sad. Sad,
just
Michael.
Gotta get that tally mark, you know.
Yeah. All right, so I was at this point. I don't know if you agree with me because you kind of said you were looking at your watch earlier, but I feel like these movies, for the most part, move pretty quick. I said this about Halloween 3. I felt like this one moved pretty quick too. Like that hour and a half goes by so fast. I guess I'm just so used to movies these days being 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Having one that's an hour and a half, man, it just really does like fly by. So that's all I noticed.
The pacing was absolutely fine with this movie.
So then there was one moment that I really liked that I mentioned earlier that I was going to bring up where I wish there was more subtle scenes where they don't announce that Michael's there. They just try and make it subtle, kind of like in the first one. You know, he'd be in the background, like in the glass window or something, and you weren't really... They hope you see him, but they're not going to sit there and point him out, basically. I like those scenes where once you have some of those in the movie, you're going to be looking at every scene like, oh, where is he? Where is he? Like, I like that feeling that he can be anywhere, but they're not going to really tell you when he is. So I like that mentality. And that scene that I'm referring to is as the deputy is talking to Rachel when they're all held up in the house towards the end, and the deputy's sitting in the chair with the shotgun, and he's talking to Rachel, and over to his right, you see just barely Michael's mask in the darkness, like down a hallway or something on the right. And even the deputy at one point at the end there, he looks down like he saw something in that direction, but at that point Michael's mask faded away. So I thought that was a really effective scene. So I wish there was more of that in the film, would be one of my complaints. Is I really like when they do offer that, but I wish there was more of it. Because there was even one scene where like Michael was watching Jamie and Rachel as they're trick-or-treating, I believe. And there's one scene where they just blatantly show like a corner, and then Michael walks into the scene like from the corner, and it's just like, why couldn't that have been done where you see them walking, or when they're going to the door to trick or treat, and then they're showing their faces, and then in the background across the street in the shadows is Michael just standing there. To me, that's what I want to see more of. That, to me, is the character. That is what I associate with Michael Myers. A guy that is standing there watching, stalking, but you shouldn't be announcing it. So, yeah.
Agreed on all accounts. I mean, there's a lot of visual peaks with this movie.
Sure.
And I guess the difference between this movie and the previous ones is I feel like they have to work harder because a lot of it we've seen before.
Right.
And so I think they were trying to find that balance, and I think they got like 8% there. But you're right. More would have been nice. And I don't know why they had a lot of opportunities. And you're right. It's like, why not do it? And so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, just show me him looming in the background and let me find him with my eyes. You don't need to... If you hang on a shot long enough, eventually your eyes are probably going to wander over there. And there's a way to play with the camera to basically kind of get your attention that way without having the sound effects and whatnot and the close-ups to get you there. Like, there's ways to do it, and they've done it. I mean, they did it a few times in this movie. They did it in the original. So just more of those. That's all. So they're all held up in the house, and the deputy that is watching over him, this is after Loomis leaves and the sheriff leaves, and it's just the deputy, Kelly, Brady, Rachel, and Jamie all in there. And they're not together. They're all spread apart, of course, because why not? And then the deputy, or I guess Kelly, goes to give tea or coffee or whatever to the deputy, and you just see his silhouette sitting there in the chair. And when she lights the candle, she realizes the deputy's not in the chair because he's on the ground dead. And then the guy that's sitting in the chair is Michael. He stands up. And then I liked how instead of shooting her with the gun, he still stabs her with this long shotgun. Like,
That's what he knows.
I know. He's like, I guess I can stab with this, sure. I just
It's
like,
long, it's metal.
yeah,
Same shit, different day. Let's go.
yeah. So I just thought that was hilarious that he still just impales somebody with a gun. Because how often do you see somebody get impaled with a shotgun? Because neat. So I like that part. And then Michael systematically takes him down, takes down Brady because he's an idiot and tries to shoot the... I guess they were somehow locked in there because he couldn't get the front door open, and he goes to blow it away with the shotgun, but then forgets to reload it. So then when Michael is actually pursuing them, he goes to reload it, and because he can't reload and move at the same time, he's just standing in his place trying to reload. And I like how Rachel is trying to help Brady by saying, Brady, come with us, come with us, come with us. Like, you gotta come with us. And all of her talking just further distracts him. Like, he stops like 2 or 3 times to tell her, no, go, get out of here. It's like all of that waste of time because at the end, he ends up getting the gun loaded, but it's right as Michael's on him. So when he turns the gun towards Michael, Michael catches it, and then, you know, a shot goes off or whatever, and then he knocks Brady down, kills him, and they do a nice little camera trick where it looks like he's messing, like breaking his face, but it's all just camera tricks with the shadowing and stuff, so I like that.
That gun thing, that like stumbling and yelling gun like shenanigans, I think that was a budget issue. Because I would imagine, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I imagine the writer probably did want him to shoot him. I think the original idea was he gets the bullet in time, he shoots Michael, and Michael doesn't give a shit. I think that's what they probably wanted to do, but they're like, nah, we have 30 minutes to film. Go, just crush him, just grab the neck.
Yeah,
you don't need to stab him. Just hold his neck really hard. Like that's what I think happened.
right.
Because I mean, it would have been cool too. Because like he would have shot Michael, and Michael's like, I've seen that trick before, kid, and just kills him. Like that would have been kind of sick. But I'm sure that was probably a scheduling or a money.
Sure.
That's what I'm guessing. Because it is weird. It's super awkward.
Yeah. And then, so Brady's dead. Jamie and Rachel make it out of the window, which I like. This is the part where, because Rachel, and we'll get to when we cover the characters, she was kind of not winning me over for the first, I don't know, half an hour of the film, because she's kind of selfish and a bit of a bitch at the beginning to Jamie, especially. So, and then towards the middle to the late part of it, she really starts winning me over because she starts acting more like a hero and really protecting Jamie, which I thought was really good. And then, like when she busts out the window with the suitcase and everything, and then goes up onto the roof, and especially the part where, you know, Michael's up on the roof with them, and then she's like, okay, Jamie, I will lower you down with this wire, knowing full well at any moment Michael could come and kill her, but she's focused on protecting Jamie, so she lowers Jamie down, and then Michael ends up pushing her off the roof or whatever. She falls off the roof. So, yeah, I mean, she's risking her life to save Jamie. So that was a good character moment to make her a bit more likable. And Michael gives chase. This is that whole school scene that you're talking about where Loomis shows up, gets Jamie. They go to the school, and Michael ends up being in the school as well. He grabs Loomis, just chucks him through a window. That was a great visual. Just a good little action stunt there. Chucks him through a window and is chasing Jamie. And then we run back into the mob. And Rachel shows up with the fire extinguisher to blind Michael. Because 2 gunshots, you know, fire extinguisher, it's all the same. Shoot his eyes out, blind him with a fire extinguisher, whatever.
Yeah, I was watching that. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a pass just because I know, like I said, you know, this movie's not made of money. Like, I could have probably thought of something better than fire extinguisher, but I don't know.
It's a very school thing, I guess. I mean, I could imagine there's a lot of fire extinguishers in schools, but
Maybe hit
anyways,
him with the fire extinguisher. I don't.
yeah,
It was not. It was not my first idea, but yeah.
I would have liked to see Michael just for like the next 5 minutes just swinging at the air, like this is a callback to Halloween 2 where he's just swinging in place for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Or at least like commit and like make it really effective. Like fire extinguishers, like his only weakness. Like, and he's like fucking on the ground, just like that. I don't know something, but and you can't see shit. You can't see anything during that scene. By the way,
Right.
once she starts blowing, like it's just there's no visibility. None.
Yeah, you can barely make out his mask for like a brief second, but yeah, you're right. It's not a whole lot there. So they get out. Rachel carries her out, and then that's when the mob shows up as well, and they get the hell out of there. Essentially, they leave Loomis behind for dead, pretty much, along with Michael. So they get the hell out of there, and they pass by the cops along the way, and eventually you think everything's gonna be fine, even though clearly it's not. I mean, even the movie kind of makes it pretty obvious with a lot of its camera work and setup. So all the mob's taken away in their truck, and it gets very foggy. Basically, they pass into this foggy area, nice, crisp, and cool nights, and all of a sudden you see, oh, Michael was underneath the truck or hanging onto it the whole time. He climbs up, dominates 3 of them that are in the back, throws them all off, which I thought looked pretty cool. And then all of a sudden he just like tears into the guy's neck that's a driver. I do like the scene, like the brief second where the driver realizes he's fucked. Because he looks back and he's like, oh shit, none of them are standing back there. Like all the guys on the truck are gone. Like you knew, like instantly right there, he knew something was not right. And then that's when Michael grabs him throws him out. Jamie, or I guess Rachel is the one that kind of pushes him out because at that point he's screwed. And then she takes over. I do like how Michael gets so desperate he just headbutts the windshield. and then Rachel's trying to shake him off the top of the truck and eventually slams on the brakes, throwing him off, runs him over. Basically, she hits him, runs into a van, it explodes, he lights on fire. No, wait, that's Ben Tramer.
Yeah, that would be great.
Then, that would have been awesome. And then he falls back into like a cemetery area right above a mine shaft. Police show up, everybody, sheriff, everything, even some of the mob members that were remaining, they all show up and they blast Michael away, and then he falls down into the mine shaft. But before that, I guess we did have that brief little moment where Jamie goes and grabs his hand. So as you mentioned before, that little psychic connection, there's a little link there between them two, and then we'll get to that in the ending here as well. Any thoughts before we get to the ending?
The final, to me, it took a while, and this is probably the only time where the teleportation shit kind of bothered me, because they're parked in front of the entrance to the school when because they clearly fire hydranted him down, and so they go the opposite direction toward the car, and then the car takes off. So the only way he could have gotten in that fucking truck was if he circumvented like around like the forest or the vegetation from behind, or if he like did the worm and literally went underneath the cast members under the undercarriage. That's the only way he could have gotten to that damn truck. So that kind of bothered me. Other than that, it really feels like a long time when you know what's going to happen, and it was so obvious what was going to happen. It was taking forever. I'm like, come on, just show him climbing. At first, I thought like he was going to be like sitting among the guys. He was going to lift his head up, but no, that didn't happen. They had a little more dignity than that.
All of a sudden, the camera pans back and he's just sitting there with them.
it zooms out and Michael's sitting. Yeah, it took too long considering how predictable it was, because you're just waiting. You're just waiting. It's like, oh my gosh, and then. Well, of course, when he flies out of the truck, you know he's going to fly out of the truck. You know they're going to try to hit him with a truck. What I didn't expect was it to work. Like, I thought he was just going to like fall backwards. I don't know, man. But I was like, don't try to hit him. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
Just go reverse, create some space, and get the fuck out of there. He's going to parry that truck. But no, it actually kind of works, actually. Which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because there's only like 15 feet. So I'm like, you're just not going to get enough speed in 15 feet to do a whole lot of damage. But hey, it knocks him unconscious, which is very surprising. Guns, not so much, but like 15-mile-an-hour trucks, yeah. Fire hydrants, dude, they fuck him up. So
I'm sure this was a fire hydrant. Fire extinguisher, you mean?
Extinguisher.
Fire
Extinguisher.
hydrant.
They're both red and they
fire.
both put out fires.
Well,
They're
that's
metal.
fair, I guess, yeah. So,
but anyway, yes.
I would have appreciated, and I'm sure the budget wasn't there for it, but as they're in the truck and then the fog's going, all of a sudden a car pulls up next to him, like speeding up next to him, and it's fucking Michael, and he gets on the hood and jumps over. That would have been badass.
That would have been sick. I mean, he fucked up an entire police force, like all of them.
He's had a long night.
He could absolutely put a car into like into cruise control and jump onto the bed of a truck. He is absolutely on that level.
I think so.
Yeah.
So
more on that later, but yes.
So that's essentially the end. We do have one last little kind of follow-up here. And thank God we get a little more Loomis, because we weren't even going to get any resolution on him, but he is there at the house at the end. So we get kind of like a point of view shot once again. Jamie's mother is going to take a bath, and all of a sudden we see somebody grab the scissors. It's left purposely ambiguous because it's supposed to make you think, oh, is Michael still not dead? Like, is he still around? But they kind of leave it up in the air, but you can kind of also see where it's coming from. So all of a sudden a mask lowers over the screen, similar to the first one, of course. Another callback. And all of a sudden somebody stabs her mother, and everyone's reacting to that person being at the top of the stairs, including Loomis. So, no! And yeah, it's Jamie. She's standing there with bloody scissors, with blood all over her, insinuating that she killed her mother, much like Michael did to his sister so many years ago. And that's where we leave off.
Well, did she kill her mother, or did she kill Rachel?
That was her mother. I know they look the same, but Rachel was there at the bottom of the stairs.
Okay, then. All right, I missed that. I thought she killed Rachel.
I don't blame you for making that mistake. I've done that. I know at least at one point I thought it was Rachel, but it is her mother. And yeah, Rachel's at the bottom of the stairs.
Halloween 5 is now way less confusing. Because that would have been rough. Okay, but yeah, all right, got you. So, I think that covers everything.
So yeah, I mean, that's the movie. So we can let's cover the characters and we can give overall thoughts. I'm not going to really worry about like Kelly or any of those characters. Let's kind of just jump into the main four, I feel like, unless you want to tackle anybody additional. So we can start off with, let's do Rachel. We'll do Rachel here. So I will mention one little tidbit. I kind of got a little trivia tidbit on a couple of the characters just from documentaries that I've watched over time. Rachel, the actress, when she's sliding down the shingles up on the roof, when she was doing that stunt, she actually cut her stomach open because like on a nail that was sticking out on the shingles. So that sucks.
That sucks. Yeah,
she actually continued and finished the scene and went to the hospital and all that. I think she went to get it bandaged up and then continued the scene or finished it up, something like that. But so kudos to her. Yeah, kudos to being strong and finishing that out.
It's a shame that they didn't check for nails before they sent her tumbling down the roof. Well, it's cool that she even did her own stunt. Like, props to her. I didn't think that was the case at all.
And I think how that whole scene worked is that was a set that they built, and the actual roof, like they created a real roof, but it was only like 3 feet from the ground. So they kind of obviously shot it in a way that made it look, because obviously they included shots where of like a higher up house and roof and stuff. So they shot it in a nice way, but there weren't any real danger of falling off of a roof, of course. And then, yeah, but she slid over some nail. I don't remember why the nail was exposed. I think there was a story to that maybe something happened there, but yeah. So just a little interesting
kind of funny,
tidbit.
Though, because if Rachel did her own stunts, I would laugh if Jamie also did her own stunts, and like the director just yells action, they just push Jamie down the fucking incline. Like,
I think she did. I think she did.
That's impressive because she
loves that role, by the way. So that's kind of the cool thing about Danielle Harris is she really embraces Jamie Lloyd or whatever her name is. Yeah. So, anyways, I do appreciate that about the actress. But continuing on with Rachel, just overall thoughts on her. I said it, kind of alluded to it earlier, is she starts off kind of nasty, and she doesn't want to go take Jamie trick or treating. She doesn't like. She just doesn't care. She wants to do her own thing with Brady and all that. Go have fun, be a teenager or whatever she is. So there's that whole factor. So you kind of like, I don't know about this. But yeah, she ends up doing the right thing, and then she's pretty cool from the rest of the movie on. She handles everything like an adult with Brady and everything, and then was very protective of Jamie, so risking her life. So overall, I thought she did well.
Yeah, no, she did a great job. I mean, the only flaw I can find with the character is she's kind of like, she has almost like a Family Ties vibe. She's very definitive 80s high school girl.
Yeah.
Who wants to go out with her boyfriend, doesn't want to be stuck babysitting, teen rebellion. They really I really feel like they could have added some base notes to that character, but she's fine though. I mean, I as a guardian role that I like the contrast. Like, she's not really meant to be likable at first.
Sure.
And then it's funny because Jamie Lee Curtis was babysitting and protecting, God, the names are gone, but children. She's protecting children. And now the one Michael Myers is after is the one that needs to be protected by it's just interesting to me.
Yeah, it's a role reversal in a way that in this one, Jamie's the main character, like that Michael's going after. So Jamie is the one that we're following, essentially. We're following Jamie's story and Jamie's journey, and she's the child, not the babysitter. And this time it's the opposite. So
that's nice. Yeah. She did a good job too. I mean, she could have hammed it up, but she felt fairly authentic most of the movie.
And there's also, speaking of Jamie, since we can go to Jamie next here, I guess we can go to Loomis before we go to Jamie. Just kind of stick with an order we usually go with. But Jamie is kind of interesting when you think about it. Obviously, the name of Jamie would obviously go to Jamie Lee Curtis as a kind of like a little homage. But yeah, Dr. Loomis, thoughts on Loomis?
This is his best performance. This is the strongest he's ever been in the series, in my opinion.
No.
Because I love him in the first one, but he's kind of a crazy asshole, which is fine. That's why we like him. But there is such a sensitivity to him now. He feels much more down to earth, and now he feels like a guardian figure that I did not get that vibe from him in the first one. And
he really wasn't. I mean, he wasn't really. He was more obsessed with Michael than he was guarding Laurie Strode. Like, he was.
Yeah, he was a broken man back in the first one. He's leveled out a lot, and he's just smarter about everything now. He's just more tempered, and because of that, he's a lot more dangerous in this movie.
I mean, he only raised his gun in this movie 6 times. 6 times.
6 times.
But yeah,
I wish they had.
There should be a Loomis
that with the rednecks.
Yeah, there should be a Loomis raise his gun count. Count the times Dr. Loomis raises his gun at somebody.
Yeah, just have like a ding every time.
Yeah, every time he almost kills a kid dressed up as Michael Myers.
So yeah, I loved it. I loved Loomis in this movie. He is so. I say this a lot, on non-horror stuff, but I feel like they almost turned him into an anime character, and that is more interesting to me. I love the sentimental side of Loomis better than the crazy, like, gun waving, like chasing children Loomis. No, that has a place. Don't get me wrong. Halloween 1 doesn't work unless Loomis is a little bit crazy.
Sure.
But there's no need for that character anymore. They fixed the character. They added, 8 years to him, 10 years, 6 years. I lost count.
10, I believe.
But yeah, the character is, I think, a lot stronger for it. That doesn't mean the character in the first one is bad. It just means it expired. They did something new with Loomis, and I think this one is a lot stronger. He's so much more likable now.
Did you notice that his scar on his cheek changes throughout the movie?
I didn't notice that, no, but I did notice when he said, "Look at my face."
Yeah.
And he points to the wrong side of the face.
It's like, it looks fine to me, Loomis, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. But I forgot which side that giant explosion left a small scar on my cheek. No.
That was probably like an hour of prosthetics, but I don't know.
So,
anyway.
Well, the story on that is, because there's a couple, it only changes between 2 different looks, I believe. So in the first shots that you see Loomis, and then also there's one other like series of scenes that it has that scar because obviously they filmed it in a specific order. Well, when they're shooting like the dailies or whatever, when they're going over the dailies to look at, you know, how things are looking in the film, I think it was Loomis's or Donald Pleasance's girlfriend or somebody that mentioned it looked like an ear, like his prosthetic on his face, like the first version. It's weird because it has like this very ear-shaped indent, and then it has like a ball in the middle, like that. That's one of them.
I don't remember the ear. I remember the ball though. The ball looked weird.
Yeah, it was odd. So that's the one that they thought didn't look good. So then they changed it to more of a not really subtle, but I mean it's more of just a mesh, you know, it's just a mesh of a burn rather than this big imprint on his face. So just a little interesting thing. It does change throughout the movie. And yeah, that's my little interesting tidbit on that. As far as how I thought Loomis did, I agree with you. I don't know if it was the best he's done so far. I mean, I have a soft spot for the first Halloween's Loomis. I think it's his lines and his delivery of his lines, just the things he says, like those quotable lines that I mentioned, that I really do appreciate. But I do like this Loomis. And in general, Dr. Loomis, to me, more so than Laurie Strode, is the Rock. Like, he's the foundation of this series. I don't know if I said that before, but he is like he is the steady force throughout the entire series for the most part. That's like Dr. Loomis is that guy to me. So yeah, Donald Pleasant's just so great, and this is no exception. He did really fantastic. So no complaints. I really liked I liked his part here. So I agree with you. Up next we have Jamie. I just wrote down that she does really well. As you know, child actors are a bit hit and miss in terms of how effective they are or how believable they are. And I thought Danielle Harris as Jamie did quite well. She's pretty young in here. I don't know her exact age. I'd guess like 8 or something, 8 or 9. But she did really, really well. So no complaints. I thought there's only a couple scenes where her acting was a little weird, like over the top or, you know, clearly fake. But yeah, no, I don't know. Like, she's sympathetic. It's seeing like a babysitter run away from Michael Myers is one thing. Seeing a small child like that run away is another. So it's obviously a little bit more effective when you have such a small child trying to escape him, and she looks so helpless and whatnot. And she's obviously at a disadvantage size and power wise. But yeah, no, I thought she did great. As you know, she basically had to fill the shoes of Jamie Lee Curtis, you know, obviously take over that mantle of the main character that Michael's hunting down. So I thought she did well. Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, just the problem with child actors is you run into two potholes. One is that they look like a confused child in front of a camera, because that's what they are. That's one problem you see with a lot of child actors is they feel like they look like precisely what they are, is that they're being, you know, displayed, you know,
Right.
in front of a lot of machinery, in front of a large set of strangers, and they're trying to hold it together. She doesn't look like that. She felt very natural throughout the whole movie. The other pothole is when you get like the prodigy who is so good at acting that they come off as an adult. They sound and move and act like an adult, which is another problem with child actors. And it just it's just you don't want that either, especially in a horror movie when you want everyone to feel as realistic and as normal as possible, so you can kind of relate and put yourself into the situation.
Right.
She did a really good job. I mean, she was fantastic. One thing that makes her so good is that when she gets scared, or like even before the action scenes, when she gets scared or when she's crying, you really feel bad for her,
Right?
Because it's you really feel like she's a child who's you know, afraid and who's hurting. You know, it just I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but I don't do well with like babies crying or even women crying.
Right.
Animals crying. I don't do well with crying. Like I don't particularly like it. Old people, I don't do well with old people crying, but children especially. So yeah, she did a very good job. And obviously, maybe not obviously, I could be completely wrong about this, but what I think is the case is they wanted someone who was as emotive and as vocal as Jamie Lee Curtis, but much younger, obviously.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
So
Obviously.
anyway,
Well,
yeah.
obviously.
So and they did that. I mean, like her screams, like that chick can wail. Like in the
Right.
beginning of the movie, like that is blood curdling. She, in my opinion, just my opinion, I think she did a better job at screaming than Jamie Lee Curtis. So props to her. She did a very good job. No complaints about the actress. The character. Do you want to get into the ending yet?
I mean, we
Or do you
already,
want to
yeah, I
hold
mean, we
off?
already talked about the ending, so go for
Do
it.
we think the ending's good? Like, I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the drawback. It felt I really wish the movie had done something that like it did with the police station where they just bodied everybody. I really wanted them to make it have an ending that where they made it their own. The whole coming full circle thing, I didn't like it, and I just didn't buy it. I don't know. That's the only problem I really have with the character.
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, I see what they were going for in that they make the character likable throughout the film, and then at the very end, now it's kind of turns into a tragedy that, oh, it's struck again, like the Michael Myers curse or whatever you want to call it, the whatever made him do what he did. Now Jamie's affected by this, and she's gone insane. It's like I get where they're going, and instead of Michael Myers, like now we actually had a character that we built up and related to and liked and enjoyed and want to see succeed fall into that. But at the same time, I don't think that's what fans want, and I don't think that's what the viewer wants. It doesn't make for a good story at the end to have her. I mean, we already have Michael Myers for that. We do not Jamie to take up that role. Is anybody looking forward to? Because I don't know where they were thinking the series was going to go, but what were we looking forward to? A time jump of 15 years, and all of a sudden Jamie's trying to go out on a killing spree like the first Halloween after she gets thrown into an insane asylum. Like, to me, I don't know what their plan was, because obviously they weren't going to. Oh, a 8-year-old girl is out as the next killer of the next movie, and she's gonna run around killing people as an 8. Like, no, it's just not. That's no good either. So I don't know what their thought was. I don't know what their plan was. To me, it was probably just to have a twist and to see maybe the mantle get past. I like I said, I really have no idea what the plan was here. Other than that, I love the character throughout the entire movie. But yeah, I agree that the ending's a little just an odd choice. It was done for a twist ending, like horror movies like to do. Not really just a twist, but one last scare, one last little wrinkle and everything when you
I
think
feel
everything's
like
over.
if they want the bad ending that badly, they need to also give us the triumph. Like, there's a lot of horror movies that have bad endings, but they also have the triumphant moment. You know, like Nightmare on Elm Street one's a great example.
Right.
Even though I honestly I would take out even the twist. I think even that's kind of unnecessary. You didn't need that ending. And it wasn't in the movie, FYI. They
Right.
added it later. But yeah, I just man, I'm just getting tired of the fight. I would like something to be a. We'll get more into this. I know I keep saying that, but man, just I would like to see something accomplished against Michael Myers. I feel like I don't know how many times I can watch Loomis lose, and I'm just kind of getting tired of it.
Right.
So yeah, that's my thoughts on the ending. Is it clever? A little bit. It's kind of smart. It's not super smart. If you're listening to this, Mr. Director Man, don't get too full of yourself. But it's a little smart. It's a little smart. But there's things that are more important than smart, and I'm tired of Loomis getting shit on over and over again. I want Loomis to finally kind of win the fight. The shitty part is that there's, without going into detail, there's more of this to come. We got more shitty endings waiting for us, and that's disappointing. But yes.
All right, well, let's jump into Michael before we give our overall thoughts on the film and rate it. So, Michael Myers, what did you think of this Michael Myers look, appearance, or look?
Well, that's fine.
Everything.
I mean, I saw the stills, and I was like, Michael Myers looks a little weird, kind of whack. I don't know if I like it. Once the movie's in motion, it's fine. It never bothered me. In a way, I like it better because it looks all clean and new and fresh. I mean, it's a new mask. It's grounded in the story. It should look clean. You're not going to sell a shitty looking Halloween mask. So, yeah, it's fine. I thought it was great. I have no problem with it. Is it my favorite? Probably not. But that, again, it's fine. I have no problem.
Interesting. It's interesting that you say that about the mask, because to me, it doesn't just look like a fresh mask. The the features of Michael Myers are lost on this mask because, from my understanding, what the mask is it's the same kind of Kirk mask, like the Captain Kirk mask that they originally had. It's not the same one, but it's the same kind of sculpt. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but from my understanding of why it loses all of its features is because they just put a heavier coat of white paint over it. So the thicker you make, your coats, eventually it's going to lose the accentuated cheeks and the lips and all the other things that make the Michael Myers face look the way it does. And to me, I don't know, it's honestly, I think it's my least favorite look, like the mask wise, especially of the entire series, for a lot of reasons. It just looks so plain and dull and dumb to me. It really does.
Well, not the dumb part, but the other two things I do like, because when you take away some of the Shatnerisms of the mask, it looks more like a ghost. So I ended up being really attracted to the mask.
Yeah, I need those cheeks.
Very charming.
I need the cheeks. I'm telling you. I need the cheeks. I need the lips. I need the nose. Like, all of those things need to be accentuated to me, because that to me is Michael Myers' mask. That's his. We aren't on Halloween 6 yet, or not 6, but H2O. And the H2O director, there's like 4 different masks in that movie, and one of the ones that the director used is because he thought, oh, what's Michael Myers' face? Well, it's just a plain expression, like it's expressionless, and it's just a white plain mask. And it's like, no, that's not it. It's Captain Kirk's face. It's spray painted white, and it's, they changed up some things, but to me, that's his face. When you just do a white mask without those expressions, you start losing those features of I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Not that you're wrong. It's that I feel like it's grounded. It's like I feel like the change was integrating the movie in a way that it doesn't bother me, because it's just so clear that it's a new mask.
It is, like, yeah. He grabs it from the store, mask, so.
I like the ghost element of it. So this might be a personal taste thing.
Possible. I mean, and there's other things about his appearance that I don't like beyond just the mask. This is shoulder pads Michael Myers. I mean, you look at that guy. No, I'm not even kidding. Like, he has shoulder pads in that coveralls. That's why, just like Halloween 2, we mentioned how he looked really puffy. Well, here he looks super puffy. Like, you do not see like a normal man's stature underneath, like, with those coveralls on. That is a puffball to me. That is a guy wearing like a winter coat looking type of dude. And it's just not what I think of when I think of Michael Myers. And the way he moves is just really, it's like I said, it's somebody with a very basic understanding of what Michael Myers looks like and how he acts, like the very generalized, streamlined, take away all the little important details. And if you're just like, oh, well, Michael Myers moves slow, he carries a knife, he has a white mask on, that is exactly what this guy is. He's not somebody that is Michael Myers. He's somebody that if you said, well, yeah, Michael Myers wears coveralls, like, that's this guy. He walks super slow. He has that's what I've mentioned before, where he has the knife the whole time. He has the knife right up against his chest with his like hand up against his chest. He walks that is not how he walks in part 1. Like, in part 1, at times he'll walk with like a certain stance about him, and he'll walk quicker at times and slower at times. You don't get any of that here. This is where he literally takes baby steps every step of the way. I don't know. It just, none of it works for me. And the mask has like black cloth over the eyes, like underneath the eyes, so you can't even actually ever see his eyes in the entire film, I'm pretty sure. Which, I know that's an aesthetic. Some people like to be able to see his eyes, some people don't. In my opinion, they should look like dark holes where you don't really see his eyes. But in certain shots where there's more lights or you get close-ups, you should be able to see his eyes at times. You still need. Jason has a mask in one of his movies. I think it's part 8, where he has those black cloth things under his mask too, where you can never see his eyes. And it's like, that's not how it's supposed to look. You're supposed to be able to see the eyes under there sometimes. So I don't know. It's just things like that. Like I said, overall, if I had to put a label on it, it's a Michael Myers impersonator more to me than it is Michael Myers. Just the way the look, the way he acts, the way he moves. Everything is just somebody with a base understanding of Michael Myers trying to intimidate or impersonate him, and it just doesn't work for me. I don't hate it. Like, to me, it doesn't take away from the movie in the sense of I don't hate the movie because of it. It's just, it's one of my least favorite, if not my least favorite, Michael Myers look and mannerisms in the entire series for those reasons. One last little tidbit I'll throw in here before I throw it back to you is, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they're in the school and Michael Myers throws Loomis through the window, his mask is pink and his hair is completely blonde.
No, I didn't notice that.
They put on the wrong mask for that shooting.
How did you
I don't know, dude. If you go back and look at it, it is plain as day, a pink mask and like blonde hair, because for whatever reason, when they're in the middle of shooting, they just, in the grind, whoever threw that mask on that day didn't realize it, and since it's dark, I guess they didn't realize it, but I mean, it is clear as day in that scene.
It's a dark ass movie, so I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's not dark enough to the point you can't clearly tell that that is the wrong mask. It just goes so quick that you, obviously, if you're not looking for it, you may not notice it, but once you know it's there, it's unmissable.
I think that's why it's hard for me to argue the movement and stuff with Michael Myers, because honestly, I just don't notice stuff like that upon first viewing or second viewing or third viewing. I'm not really good at that stuff. I'm better with abstracts. I always have been. The pink mask is kind of funny because I don't know how dark something needs to be before you can't see pink anymore. That sounds really unsafe, by the way. Like you don't want working conditions to be that dark. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Another thing is I don't really have strong feelings on anything, but the mask is the only thing I really have strong feelings on. The shoulder pads, I noticed it in the stills, but once the movie started going, I didn't notice it quite as much. So, yeah, I think it's a personal taste thing in the mask. Everything else, I probably will agree if I see the movie again, now that I know what to look for. But honestly, I didn't really pick up on it. But I think that's just a testament to how dark the movie is.
I mean, yeah, I'll agree that the mask is a personal taste thing. I've heard other people rate it higher in the, like, rate it, you know, as one of their favorites. Some people, I think I've heard one guy that said Part 4's mask was his favorite. So, I mean, it's what you want in the character's face, like, to you, what you think looks intimidating, scary, or what you just think looks the best for the character. For me, like I said, Part 1 is the best mask, and it's never been topped or even come close. I mean, there's some that look good, but Part 4, I guess it just looks like a cheap Halloween mask to the extreme. And I know that's what it's supposed to be, but like I said, there's certain things about a character that I associate it with, and that those facial features I associate. I don't think of Michael Myers as a plain white face. And when we get to H2O, I will point out the mask that the director thought should just be a plain white face, and that is just literally a plain white. All Shatner stuff is gone. It is literally their own mask that they created that's just a plain white face. It only shows up in one scene, like one shot, and that's it.
It blows my mind how many Halloween films are marketed as this time we're getting our shit together. It's so funny how often they do that. Yep. They did it with 4. They did it with 7. It's like, this is H2O. We got Jamie Lee fucking Curtis back. This is the real shit, guys. No more Halloween 3, 5, 4, whatever. And then now they're doing it again with a reboot. And maybe this time they're right. But I'm old enough to see them try this a few times now. Which is, it's funny even saying that. But it's funny that the H2O, though it was supposed to be the definitive end of the series,
yep,
it couldn't get the fucking mask right. That blows my mind.
No, I know. You're preaching to the choir. That's the things about the character that makes the character, that should be the simplest thing to get right. Like, taking a screenshot from the first Halloween movie or a picture or whatever, you know, obviously computers and stuff like that weren't prominent back then, but so you take just a photograph from the original movie or put the VHS into the damn VCR and watch the movie, look at what it looks like and copy that. It's because you get so many producers and directors that just do not give a crap about the actual what makes the franchise, or what makes the character so popular or iconic. They don't care about that. They're just there to make their film and to try and make money. They're there to make a cheap horror movie. They don't treat these films with any sort of level of respect. They don't look at them as any like sort of quality type films. They look at it as a cash grab on the horror fan base, that they know what they're going into as a popcorn flick to get laid with, on a date or whatever, the common stereotypes with these types of movies. They don't care. They're just there to make money. They're not there for the details, which is stupid. Really, really stupid. And that's the thing that bothers me most, which I will say, just because you brought it up, I don't think the reboots, or not the reboot, but the upcoming one, the sequel to the first one, I don't think that's gonna be the case, just because the people making it are huge fans of the series, and just the trailer proves that they know at least what makes the damn movie good. That's not saying it's going to be a good movie, but they at least understand what made Halloween the original good. They have an understanding of that, at least.
I would hope that Nick Castle would not put the mask back on if the mask didn't look right. I would imagine, like, so many, you're right, precisely that. But just, God, just at some point, trial and error has to kick in. Like, how many times can you fuck it up? Eventually, it's the room full of monkeys and typewriters. Eventually you have to get it right when you try so many times.
It's like Nightmare on Elm Street when they didn't bring Robert Englund back, or getting rid of Kane Hodder for Freddy versus Jason. It's like they don't. So many people think that, oh, they know what the character's all about, or what makes them popular, what the fans want. And it's like, no, they really don't. Jackie Earle Haley, great actor and everything, but the fans wanted to still see Robert Englund. That's just the way it is. So it's like, but
this could be its own video. Yeah, just why are horror movies so bad? And I think that's reason number one. Reason number two is that I believe in my heart of hearts, and we don't have to go into this now, but I believe with full conviction that a lot of horror creators, especially the lower budget ones, are not interested in making a good movie.
Right.
They're interested in making a style that they like. They want Gorno. That is why Gorno exists, because they have no intention of making a good movie. So what we have is just a very polluted genre. But one day we can make our video on that. I think that'd be brilliant.
Yep. So, okay. So, still on Michael, did you have anything to add to him other than we covered his look, we covered his mannerisms? How about the character? What characterization?
He seemed less Great White Shark this time. He seemed more sinister this time around.
Yeah.
It felt more deliberate this time. I feel like when you take away all the variation, he felt more like Jason in a way. It's hard to explain, but yeah.
I think there's definitely some influence there. We're getting further in the series where obviously Friday the 13th is established by now and well established, so at this point you get to a point where like they're stealing from each other. The originator is now copying the copy, so that's just the way it is, and that happens all the time with so many different things. So it's a shame because Michael is, like I said, it's losing sight of what makes your character, and now you're kind of opening him up. I don't hate this Michael by any means. I like what he does throughout the film, but I just feel like you lose some of the personality of him. He doesn't do the head cock in here. He's just completely still. He doesn't play with his victims so much in this one as much either. He doesn't kind of toy with them as much. There's times where he's chasing them and then he'll disappear and you're not sure why, but it's just, and then, there is the time at the end, when he's sitting in the chair with the shotgun, obviously, but I don't know. It just kind of loses some of that things I associate with the character, I guess, from the first one, which the first one to me establishes who he is the most because that's the most iconic. But anyways, I don't really have anything else to say on him. We can get into our overall movie thoughts, though, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. Are we doing ratings and then going into our thoughts? We're giving our thoughts, or we're going to end on the rating?
However you want to do it.
All right, I'll give this one a B. I think it was much stronger than Halloween 2 by but the Halloween 2 wasn't very good. This is a much better movie by far. I like Loomis a lot better. I just feel like it's tighter. Halloween 2 was a mess. We say that Halloween 2 was trying to be, and that's why it fell apart. But that's our best guess. I don't think anyone knows what the fuck happened with Halloween 2.
I don't think
just
John
like,
Carpenter does either.
Yeah, it's just like there's gonna be so many nurses. I don't know if he had any clue what was actually going on. That movie is just a train wreck. This movie is very fine. It's very finely tuned. It's a very tight movie. It's not perfect. I feel like there's some cookie cutter cliches. I don't like the shitty characters. I think Kelly was her name.
Yeah.
Just fodder. You know, the douchey boyfriend. Not quite fodder. He had a good moment. You know, he tried to be the better person than died. There are just points. It was trying to retread old ground, and some of that ground I'm just tired of. I mean, the whole running around Halloween night, but those are the flaws. Like, there's one more big flaw left. But going on to some of the good things, I like the scale of this movie. I like the fact that Michael is not just a villain anymore. He's a natural disaster. Right. You can't fuck with him anymore. He's too powerful. He's so ridiculously powerful now. And it just, I like when horror movies do things like that because I feel like they're taking it seriously. When he fucks up a whole police station for free, just like you don't even see him like shot up later. Like he's so good at what he does now. And he's refined too. Like he's learned from past mistakes. There's something more sinister, more vile about Michael in this movie, at least based on his decisions. He doesn't feel like the Great White Shark anymore. He feels much more deliberate now, for better or worse. And I like that a lot. I think the acting was very good on all accounts. As for the main cast, I don't think there's a weak spot. Jamie was great. Rachel was great. Loomis was fantastic. Even the new sheriff was fine. No criticisms. I think actually I was kind of disappointed that they didn't give him a proper conclusion, but I guess that's neither here nor there. The biggest problem I have with the movie is they still don't want to engage the mystery. They're still so gun shy about what Michael's is. And you don't have to tell me why Michael Myers can't die. You don't have to tell me why after being perfectly still for 8 years he hasn't suffered any muscle atrophy. You don't have to tell me why. You don't even have to tell me why they didn't notice that he didn't suffer any muscle atrophy after being monitored, like with tubes. Like, but if the characters don't notice it, then it doesn't matter if I notice it or not. If the characters don't engage the mystery, then it either makes the characters look stupid or it feels I can't suspend belief anymore. And that's been such a problem. I've had that problem really since kind of even Halloween 1. It's like, are we going to talk about the fact that we shot him 1,000,000 times and he's not dead? Are we going to talk about the fact that we shot him in the eyes, both eyes, not just one, and he's still not dead?
Loomis is trying to talk about the fact that he shot him 6 times.
6 times! I mean, so yes, you are correct about that. But I just feel like Loomis is... there's a line, by the way, in the script, and I even wrote down, it's like... they're like, you know, the police won't know how to stop him. That's what Loomis says.
Right.
And then the sheriff is like, do you? And Loomis is like, maybe nobody knows how to stop him, but I've got to try. That tells me that Loomis at least realizes we're dealing with a force of nature we don't understand.
Well, he even said that in Halloween 2. He said he's not human. Like when he was getting picked up and he was shouting about shooting him 6 times, he shot him 6 times, shot him in the heart, so on and so forth. He explains, he ends it with, he's not human. Like, he's trying to convince people, this is not just a man you're dealing with. This is, I don't understand what this is. He's pure evil. You know, he said that from the beginning, but people just don't understand.
A lot of other stuff, too, that drowns that. Because you're right. I think about that a lot. It's like, they keep hinting that there's something bigger going on. But Loomis also says a lot of shit like, he's the human unconscious. And like that stuff like that is really what kind of gets the emphasis, which I think is unfair. Because you have something really interesting. What if a person started murdering people and you couldn't take them down? It was like trying to stab a rag doll and it just keeps moving. Like, that is such an interesting idea. And he's very fast and he's very strong. I wish they had written the movie in a way that would finally engage that, because it's only the 3rd fucking movie with Michael Myers. I still feel like they're dancing around that. So that's a big problem for me, because I think that's the most interesting part. And I feel like it's grossly under-acknowledged even Loomis, he does it in lines. He does it in side speak. He doesn't engage it dead on. I just wish they would fucking talk about it. Write a scene before he breaks out that just talks about how he's a fucking crazy strong immortal. But a B. I give it a B because I think this movie is a vast improvement, and I think the people who made it are very competent. And I feel like I'm glad I saw this movie because the actors in this movie do not get enough credit. They all did a good job, and I feel like they're not going to get enough credit for a very long time. So, solid B. I'm very happy I saw it.
I actually agree with you on the B. That is what I rated as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and this one just stands out as a favorite for me. And no matter how many times I've watched it, it starts off nice, like I said, with the cool opening credits, gets you in the mood for Halloween in general. I've seen this on TV so many times, back to back with Halloween 5, etc. So just over the years, this is probably the one that I've seen the most, as I've said before, other than maybe the first one. I might have even seen it more than the first one, and I just dig it. Like you said, the characters are solid from top to bottom. There's At its worst, it's not really that bad, and yeah, there's some issues with it, and I have certain issues with it, like the way Michael looks. But you know, even though Michael is a very important character to this franchise, obviously, but it's everything else. It's the story, it's the chase, it's the way, just everything being done. So to me, and Dr. Loomis, like I said, is the foundation. He's great here. So just in general, I really enjoy this one every single time. It moves so quick, and just it's a fun ride filled with things that get me in the mood for Halloween. So absolutely enjoyable. So solid B from me as well.
Which is surprising. I didn't think this was when 2 was bad. I was very worried about this movie, and just anyone who's typing in the comments already, he was saying, "Oh, you want them to engage the mystery?" Well, Temp, they engage the mystery later in part 6, right? Do you know how that turned out? Yes, I know. I saw the movie. We'll get to that. We will just get to that later. All right.
Yeah.
I'll say my piece then. But I didn't think this was going to be a good movie. I thought it was going to suck balls. It turned out to be good. It's good. It's so weird how good it is. Act 2 really scared the shit out of me, so I'm glad this one was.
Well, on that note, wrapping up part 4 here, make sure you like the video, comments. We would love to know what you guys thought about Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And then that opens the door for the continuation of this story with Michael, Jamie, and the bunch in Halloween 5. Let's see where everything goes. I don't believe Temp has seen that one either.
No, I haven't.
So we'll see what his impressions are of the follow-up to this, of the Jamie movies, I guess. So yeah, on to Halloween 5, and we will see you guys next time.
Take care, guys.
That's because every day is Halloween at Jamie's house, right?